Alright guys, I'm going to go over page 3 of study guide real fast. Number 1 is kind of like two different problems in one. So it's kind of like what we did when we had that creating equations activity with the groups, where you used the cards to give you an answer and then you made the problem. That's how we're going to start it, and then we're going to graph it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out what our answers are. So they are telling you that you have to create an equation that has these zeros. So remember, zeros are answers, so it's going to have x equals 4, x equals 2, x equals 1. Now remember, in order to create an equation, we kind of have to work backwards. I have to make all three of these equal 0. So I'm going to minus 4 from both sides of that one. First one to get x minus 4 equals 0. I'm going to minus 2 to get x minus 2 equals 0. And then I'm going to get x minus 1 equals 0. Now I'm going to put all... This is the zero product property tells me that I can put all three of these together in parentheses, so I can have x minus 4, x minus 2, x minus 1 equals 0. Right? Now that I have all three on one side of the equation, I can use FOIL to multiply and make the parentheses go away. So I'm going to pick the first two. X goes to x is x squared. X goes to negative 2 is minus 2x. Negative 4 goes to x is minus 4x. So negative 4 times negative 2 is going to give me positive 8. That's the last part of FOIL. So these two first set of parentheses right here, these two parentheses right here, turn into this. I'm going to combine my like terms. So I'm going to end up with x squared minus 6x plus 8. Now this parentheses, you can put it at the beginning or the end. I like to put mine at the beginning. And now I'm going to do the distributive property twice again. So x is going to go to all three. It's going to give me x cubed minus 6x squared plus 8x. Then negative 1 is going to go to all three. Minus x squared plus 6x minus 8. Right. Now I'm going to combine my like terms, and this is going to be my final equation. X cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 8. You want to put f of x, you can put equal to 0, you can put f of x. I'm going to do f of x because that's what's in the multiple choice questions. So I'm not going to put equal to 0, but it doesn't matter which one you were to do if it wasn't a multiple choice question. So, and that is C. So that is C right there. Now the other way to do this problem, if you didn't want to do it like with the multiplying and stuff like that, you could have graphed all four of these individually with an XY chart. I think that would have been longer, and only one of them would have had zeros at 4, 2, and negative 1. Now it does tell you to graph it, so either way you'd have to graph at least one of them. So I'm going to graph it. So I did put some instructions from how to graph a polynomial function. To graph polynomial function, you have to find the end behavior. You have to make an XY chart with 5 points, and here's how you find the end behavior. Remember, you're going to find degree, leading coefficient, and that's going to give us our end behavior. So the easiest way, even if you didn't want to do end behavior and stuff like that, you could still graph these equations pretty easy. You would just make an XY chart. So that's probably the easiest way to do it. So this is to graph. So I'm going to kind of erase a bunch of this other stuff just because we really don't need it now. So that was how we built the equation. We know it's C, and we do have to graph the equation. So that's what I'm doing here. So, all right. So you can make an XY chart just like normal. Now the easiest way to do it, before you do the XY chart, I like to do my end behavior first. So the degree of this is 3, which is odd. The leading coefficient is 1, which is positive, which tells me the end of my graph should go down to the left, up and to the right. That just tells me how my graph should finish. Now, normally you could pick any 5 points you want. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2 are fine. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different just because I know that, so negative, I'll keep negative 2 on there. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. I'm going to go up to 5 because I already know, based off of this right here and this part right here, that these are zeros. I already know that 4 is 0, 2 is 0, 1 is 0. Right? Because I don't want to make my life harder, so I'm going to definitely make sure I have my 3 zeros on there. So without doing any work, now that's a good way to check your work too, is you could plug 1 in right here for all your x's, and it will spit out 0. So I already know 1, 0 is an option. Let me change the color here. 2, 0 is an option. 4, 0 is an option. Those have to be on there, okay? Now I always pick 0 because 0 is usually pretty easy. So I plug in 0 for everything. It's going to spit out -8. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 3. I'm going to plug in 5. All right. So when I plug in 3, now you could plug it in your calculator. 3 cubed is 27, minus 7 times 3 squared, so minus 63, plus 14 times 3 is 42, minus 8. So then I end up with -2. Now I'm going to plug in -1, same exact way.
Like I said, the easiest way to do
and
this
guys,
is
if you don't have one of my calculators, that's going to get kind of messy.
the calculator in your phone is really difficult to use. There are some online resources that are a little bit easier to enter stuff in. So just FYI, I mean, I struggle entering stuff in on my phone calculator versus one of my calculators. So I end up with -1. It spits out -30, which I expected. That's why I kind of didn't pick those points to begin with. And then I plug in 5, and I end up with 12. So I'm going to plot those points. So I got 0, -8. I'm not going to change the scale. I could. If I wanted to go by 2s, that would be fine too. Just because I know 5 is going to be up, like, you'll see, it's like somewhere around here, you know. So now I'm going to connect my dots. Now remember, these got to be smooth curves. So I'm going to go up. Now if I actually, I would probably plug in 1.5, which I did. I believe I did yesterday, and it was 0.5. So I did that yesterday. So smooth curves, I would like I said, if I was being really picky, I would not take off for this, but I would probably plug in 1.5 to see where that goes. And then 4, 0. Oh, 3 is -2. 3, -2. I forgot that. And then it comes up. And then the biggest thing, I want to make sure that my graph does what I think it's going to do, and it does here. Okay, that's it. All right, finish up page 3. Explain why a polynomial of odd degree must have at least 1, 0. Well, guys, if it's odd, the end behavior goes the opposite direction. So since end behavior goes in opposite directions, no matter where you start, it will cross the x-axis one time. Okay. Now, 17 is actually really easy too. It's just kind of, you have to think a little bit. Third degree polynomial means that it has to have end behavior that looks like, it means it's going to be odd. So my end behavior is going to look like this, or it's going to look like this. It has one local max, one local min. That means a local max and a local min means that it's kind of like a hump, or like a peak or a valley, besides the part that's going to go up forever and down forever. And 1, 0 means one x-intercept. All right. So I'm going to make my graph. I'm just going to go boom. So it has the proper end behavior, and I'm going to make it just a little bit nicer. That would have been fine. There was nothing wrong with that. It was a little bit harder. It was a little bit harder for me to draw out the local min and max. So I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to do it a little bit nicer. So this would be my local max. That would be my local min. That would be my 0. Alright, so that's it. Done.